Welcome to this episode in the series of Python Programming for GIS Data Processing in QGIS. So in this video, we are going to take a look at problem solving. So if you recall in the previous video where we talked about conditionals, statements, and loops, we left off about two problem solvings, which I promised to cover in a separate video. So in this video, we are going to take a look at the first problem solving. Here is the problem detailed in this PDF file. So you can get a copy of this from the GitHub repository in the description below. So the problem we are going to solve in this video is to write the phrase "I love GIS programming" in several text files into a folder, with each file containing the line count of the phrase equivalent to the file number. So maybe in a moment when I explain what this is, maybe it will make sense. But basically what the problem is asking us to do is to create several files, text files like this, and then each file will have a name. For example, the first file is file_0, file_1, 2, 3, 4, up to the end. Then in each of the file_0 will have 0 number of lines for this particular phrase. File_1 will have 1 line of this phrase. File_2 will have 2 lines of this phrase. 3 will have 3 lines of this phrase. 4 will have 4 lines. Likewise, 16 will have 16 lines of the phrase. 17 will have 17 lines of the phrase continuously. That is what we need to achieve in this problem solving. And then you can see the naming convention for the file. And as you can see, the files will have the corresponding number of lines for the file name. So at the end of the day, you are going to carry out this exercise. So the exercise is to read the text files we generated from the problem above. You are going to read the text file and then read the file size into a dictionary. I will show you the answer at the end of the video, but I'm going to allow you to work out the solution on your own. So let's switch to QGIS and then open up the Python console, open up the editor. Let me open up the script where we have the code. It should be in script 4. This is available on the GitHub repository. So I think it's better for me to open it in a text editor so that it will be easier for us to see. So for presentation sake, I'm going to open it up in a text editor and then probably run it in a Jupyter Lab environment. So here is the file, script 4, which is available on the GitHub repository. And then just on this line where we have the problem solving 1, we have the solution for the problem I just explained in the PDF file. That is this one. So that is the script that solves the problem. So let's copy it and then run it. Let's see the solution before I walk you through the solution. So go back to QGIS and then let me open up a new script, then paste the solution. So before I run it, let me just quickly mention that what the script is going to do is to create text files with this phrase in a folder, and the folder is this one. This is the folder. The folder is named "I love QGIS programming." and presently it is empty. So by the time I run the script, it will generate about 200 files containing the phrase "I love QGIS Python Programming," and each file will contain equivalent number of lines that correspond to the file number. So let's run it, and then as you can see, it is running, it is generating the files. So if I go back to check the folder, you will see that it has generated about 200 files. So file 0 should be empty when you open it up. File 1 should have one line of that phrase. File 2 should have 2 lines of the phrase. File 3 should have 3 lines of the phrase. File 4 should have 4 lines of the phrase continuously. If I open up file 182, it should have 182 lines of the same phrase. So this is exactly what we need to solve. That is what the problem is. So I'm going to delete this, then walk you through the solution. So for visual sake and presentation sake, I'm going to copy this to the Jupyter Lab environment to explain what the code is doing. So let's switch to the Jupyter Lab environment. So here we have the same script in the Jupyter Lab environment. And then as you can see from the first line, so the first line is getting the path to the folder. And then we have a for loop that loops to create the text file with the given file names and then write the phrase into the text files. And then at the end of the day, it closes it. So when you're given a problem like this, the first thing you need to do is to think about how it is done or how to solve it manually. And that is where the pseudocode is very important. So when you have a problem like this, the first thing you need to do is to understand the problem. After understanding the problem, then try to write an English version of the step-by-step approach on how to solve the problem. And that is what we refers to as the pseudocode. So the pseudocode will highlight the steps you need to take or the script you need to take to solve that particular problem. So here, the pseudocode I have are just 3. So the first thing we need to do is to read path to the folder where the text will be saved. And that is exactly what we did here. Then create the text files with the file name in the form of file_1, file_2, file_3. We'll have part of the file name, which is the number part that is incrementing from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to the number of files we needed to create. And then at the end of the day, we now write the phrase "I love QGIS Python Programming" into the text file, with each file containing lines equivalent to the file number. So let's carry on with the explanation proper. So the first item we have on the pseudocode is to read the path to the folder where we are going to save the text file. So this is it. I will just copy it and then paste it under the explanation. So with this, we have the path to the folder. So if I check the folder, so the folder should be somewhere here. I love Python. I love QGIS Python Programming. If I open it up, it's currently empty. So I can also open it up here. You can see it is currently empty. So after opening the folder, I need to now create a text file. So, and to create a text file using Python, we have done it in the previous video. There are several ways of doing it. You can use the with statement, you can use the just the open function and then the close function, and then you can use the try final code block with the help of the open function to create a text file. So here what I have used is just the open function, which I save in an object called f. Then I use the file object to write, and then at the end I closed the file object. So after reading the path to the folder where we are going to save the files, the next step we need to carry out is to create the text file. And recall that the format for the file names is file_1.txt, file_2.txt, and so on. So only the number part of the file name that is incrementing from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the end. So let's create a file and save it in the folder. So here I'm going to copy this part to make it easier for me to type. Recall that we already talked about the open function. So what we are doing here is simply using the open function to create the file in this text, in this part. So this, let me clean up this a little so that we understand what is going on. So here is going to be file underscore maybe 1. So this is the file name we are creating, and since we are using the mode of X, it is going to create the file for us automatically. But if the file exists, then it will now throw error. So we also need to include the folder, path to the folder. So to do that, I will simply use the string formatting. This is the way to format string in Python 3. So just in case if you are confused, let's test run the output of that. So as you can see, the output is just going to be the absolute full path to the folder and then to the file. So this is it. So you can also use other string formatting, such as the format function or string concatenation to achieve the same thing. But this is like more elegant way of doing it. So after I created the file object, then I need to write the phrase. So let me just copy the part of the phrase to it. So I need to write the phrase into the file. Then remember to close the file using the close function. So I'll just call the close function on the file object we created. So if I run this, hopefully this should create the file in this folder. I love GIS programming. So let's run. There's no error on the cell. And then as you can see, we have the file created. So if I open up the file, if I double click to open up the file, I have one line of the phrase "I love QGIS programming" written into the file. So let me check the file using the Windows Explorer. So with the Windows Explorer, I also have the file in order. So if I want to create another one, maybe the second one, I'll just change this to 2, then rerun. I'll check the folder, open it up, I have it. If I check the Explorer, I have it. So at least our program is working fine, but we have some little issues. If you take a look at what we have here, the first file 1 has one line, which is correct. Then file 2, it should have 2 lines, not 1 line, which is not correct in this case. So let's demonstrate that on file 3. So to test it on file 3, in order for you to have a new line and a second line for the same phrase, you need to make use of the multiplication operator on the number of lines you want to have together with the new line character. So if the backslash n is a new line character, which is part of the special characters or escape characters in Python. So apart from the new line character, we also have some other characters that are special. We also have some other special characters in Python, like the backslash t for horizontal tab, backslash r for carriage return, backslash b for backspace, and so on. So you have this in the script file I provided. So when you make use of it and then multiply it by the number of lines you want to have, you should have multiple lines written into the file. So for example, let's do for file 3. So we change this to 3. Then we'll add the new line character, which is backslash n. Then multiply it using the multiplication operator by the number 3. So this 3 is the one that is reflecting here. So let's try this and see the output. Run. If you check the folder, give it a while to load, we should have the file 3 created. So let's open it. And then you can see we have 3 lines of that phrase. So let's just run it on the fourth file, file 4. Change this to 4. Run. Wait for the output. Open it up. You should have 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 lines of the phrase, I love QGIS Python Programming. If you do it for 5, here too will be changed to 5. Run. You should have the correct output. This time around, let me check it in the file, in the folder explorer. So file 5, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll have the same 5 lines with the phrase, I love QGIS Python Programming. So basically, this is the skeletal form of the solution to the problem. So, but we cannot we cannot continue to change the file number and the number of lines manually. Instead, we could use a more elegant format by using the for loop in conjunction with the range function. So recall that you can use for loop on a range function to loop over a range of numbers. So for example, if I say for x is just a temporary variable in the range of, let's say, 10. So let me print out the value of x. So if I run this, I should have from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the last number before the number 10, which is 9. So inside this for loop, I can nest the whole of this and then change these values dynamically. So for example, let me copy this part and change it dynamically. So instead of printing just x, let's print this phrase. I think we need to copy it from here. So let's print this phrase 10 times. So if I click on run, this print out the same phrase 10 times. So, but this is not what I want. I want to be able to change this 5 to correspond to the current range number in the loop. So instead of having static 5 here, I will use the string formatting and then add the temporary variable x. So if I do this, hopefully we should have the expected result. So you can now see that this variable x is changed at every loop. At the first loop, when x was 0, we have file 0. At the second loop, when x was 1, we have file 1, 2, 3, 4, up to the last one. So this concept is what we are going to use here to achieve the dynamical creation of this file path from the specified range number to the end. So to achieve this, all I need to do is copy this part, or I can simply copy this text, then replace it here. Then cut the part and then have it under a for loop. So the same thing for these 5 lines. Instead of this 5, I will just have x here, which will be the current or the current variable in the loop. So if I do this, and then I need to delete the whole of these files so that we don't have the conflict issue or the file overwrite issue. So if I do this, I can add a print statement just the way we have it here to show us, to tell us the current position of the for loop. So let's hope that this is right. So let's test run it, and then let's see what the output will be. So here we have it. We have the first, which is the 0 file. We have the second, which is the file 1, file 2, file 3 is correct, file 4 correct, file 5 correct, up to the 9th one, which is the 10th one, because the index starts from 0. So if you want to skip the 0 file creation, you can specify the starting range from the interval. And then let's assume we want it to stop. We want to create 300 files. So we can just specify the ending or the stopping range to be 301. Then we need to delete this so that we don't have the file overwriting error. So if I run this, this should create 300 files for us, as you can see. So the file 300 will have 300 lines of that phrase. If you check the results on the Jupyter Lab, you see that we'll have all the folders. So the file 300 will have 300 lines of the same phrase. So this is basically the solution to that problem. And as you can see, I have walked you through step by step on the explanation on how the problem was solved. So the next thing before I end the video is this exercise. So the exercise is to read the file, read each file and its corresponding file size into a dictionary. So the exercise wants us to have a dictionary, and the dictionary will contain the file name. For example, file underscore one, maybe file underscore one, and then its corresponding file size in byte. So let me check the folder. So file one, if I check the property of that file, it should be about 32 bytes. Yes, so this is 32 bytes. So file one should be 32 bytes. So file one should be 32 bytes. So we should have this in a dictionary. So the key would be the file name, that is file1.txt, and then the value should now be the file size in bytes. So something like this. So we need to create a dictionary for all of the files, and that is what the exercise is expecting us to do. So the dictionary that will have the keys as the file names, and then the corresponding file size as the values. So let me show you the solution. So after running the solution to the exercise, this is going to be the output, as you can see. So the output is going to be a giant dictionary that will contain all the file names, text file names, and their corresponding sizes. So this is the dictionary. Of course, I've truncated the code. The only hint I will give you about the exercise is that you need to make use of the import OS library. So you need to make use of the OS library to achieve this. But the complete solution is hidden. So if you take a look at what we have here, the dictionary, if you check the type of the variable we printed out, it's a dictionary. Yes. And then since it's a dictionary, we can access the keys of the dictionaries. So the keys are the file names, as you can see. Then the values are going to be the sizes in bytes. So let's check the values. So the values are the sizes in bytes. So these are the values. So this is basically what you are expected to do with this exercise number 1. So I hope you will take the pain and take the effort to write the script to solve the exercise. So with this, I have come to the end of this video, and I hope you are going to watch the next one. Have a nice day. Bye bye.